Hey guys, we're back from Daytona 24. A little bit earlier today we gave you an overlook at the BMW racing cars, and now we have Tom Plucinsky from BMW North America to give us a closer look at the BMW M3 GT.
Hi Ratsu, how are you?
Doing well,
Good, good. So you want to have a look at this car?
Yeah, let's take a look.
So this car was raced in 2011, 2012. It's one of three that we still own. It's number 56. Number 56 was driven by Joey Hand and Dirk Mueller. Very, I mean, it was a really successful car. It's an E92 M3 GT is the actual name of it. And in 2011 it won Sebring. It won Sebring in 2012, and it won the entire championship in 2011. Not this exact chassis. This was the spare chassis in 2011. The one that has the most winning races, that one was crashed in mid 2012, so it was fixed and became the spare car. This one was pressed into service. So let's have a closer look at it, because you know it's an E92 M3. So if you know the E92 M3, it had a V8 engine. This one's a little different because it has the same block, but what is called a flat plane crank engine. So it let me see here. Let me try to get it on. There we go.
Oh, look at that.
So what's different about this engine, and you can see it's down and pushed back in the chassis. It has a flat plane crank, which means it runs the engine more as two four-cylinder Siamese together. So very quick revving, lots of torque, but lots of vibration at the same time. So this thing, if you're sitting in it, everything is vibrating like crazy, but it is so fast. It sounds so good. You can see all the ductwork in here for various things. So here is the exit for the radiator, these three here, and they exit warm air out of the hood. This is cool air for inside the car, and the car has air conditioning as well to keep the drivers cool. This is required by the rules. And then the actual engine breathes through these two little things. If you stick your camera in the front there, you'll see the little trumpets. That's where the car breathes through. Oh, yeah. And that's how IMSA would control how much power we had by changing the size of those inlets.
Perfect.
So yeah, so there's under the hood. You can see its basis is an E92 M3, but it's been made into a real spaceship, and this car is pretty special.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now if we walk around to the side here, watch the hoods on the floor, and then we'll look the door. First, I'd like you to just touch the door, see how light it is. All right, that's a full carbon fiber door. You know, in a race car, you don't need to have metal in the door for side impact or anything. That's all in the roll cage, so the door is super light. Yeah. And then if you bring the camera into there, you'll see the driver's seat is actually in the footwell for the passenger on the real car, and the normal dash would be way up there, and now we pull it all back. So the driver is moved way back in the car and way down in the car.
So this balance, basically.
For balance, for 50-50 weight distribution. Yeah. The seat itself is bolted to the floor. It does not move. And on some of the cars, this one doesn't have it, but on some of the cars, the foot pedals are adjustable. So you can move the pedal box, if you like, back or forth to meet the driver. In this particular car, you either fit or you don't. Yeah, that's it. You can see on the steering wheel, if you go over to that, there's a whole bunch of buttons for controlling the car. And actually, if you look in the top right corner, there's something called this button right here. Can you see that one?
I see it, yeah.
Yeah. And it says fancy on it. So the fancy button was something kind of special for us. The rule at the time was that if you, when the car was being fueled and when the tires were being replaced, the engine had to be off. You could only start the engine once the car was on the ground. And if the driver touched the fancy or held the fancy button, as soon as the car hit the ground, it would automatically start. So it would save you about a tenth of a second or a hundredth of a second or whatever it was, in order to get you going faster. And fancy button also would give you max power. It was kind of like a push to pass setup, where if you were catching up to someone and you wanted a little bit of extra power, you press the fancy button and it would shut off the air conditioning, shut off the alternator, give you max power so that you get past that competitor.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Really cool.
And then the seatbelts are tethered to some stretchy things here, so that when the driver gets out, the belts are in the right place for the next driver coming in. The drivers could do a driver change in under 14 seconds. So it's important in an endurance racing car to be able to do that. Yeah. So this car was the first car that was first car in the series that was allowed to have paddle shift. And so this one has it. It used to be, before that, it was a sequential was all you were allowed.
Yeah.
So in 2011, paddles were available. But if you have an E92 DCT car, or actually, DCT and E92, the shifting in that car is faster than this car.
Really?
So this is really it has a 6-speed manual transaxle in it. So the gearbox is not behind the engine, it's at the back of the car.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
And this is an electronic control of that transmission. So
Very cool.
It's a little bit slower, but it's a very harsh shift.
Yeah.
You know it when it shifts, and you can actually use either an up or down motion on the shifter. Yeah.
Pedals, yeah.
So if your one hand is busy doing something, you can shift with the other hand. Yeah. Let's see. You saw the buttons in the center there. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory. They're things for changing pages on the display. Things like turning the AC on and off, starting the car, that sort of thing.
Very interesting.
The car weighs 2,500 pounds, all up.
Very light.
Yeah, very lightweight. Yeah. The basic structure is BMW M3. The roof panel, in fact, is production.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's a production part from the car. We left it unpainted, even though it makes the car a little bit hotter inside, because it is the production piece. And then from there, it's built up to give you downforce and
rear wing,
exactly, big rear wing. Yes.
Got a bunch of carbon
And I
fibers,
think
aero stuff.
we should talk about those wheels, because some of your
those
fans
are
were
different,
asking me
yeah.
about the wheels. So those wheels were really special. Those are designed by BMW in our wind tunnel, produced by BBS for us, but they're proprietary to BMW. We used them on this car, and at Le Mans, the first time we premiered them was at Le Mans in 2011, and they gave us 3 kilometers per hour more top speed. So we then used them in the long distance races here in the US as well. So this car is as it ran at Petit Le Mans at the end of the 2012 season. So we have the tires, the wheels on it that we use then.
Very interesting shape.
Some people ask what these were for, and those were the position lights. So if you were in first position, you'd have 1 LED lit. If you were in third position, you'd have the 3. So it was kind of an early method of helping the fans understand what car was in what position.
Gotcha.
And this was shared with the series in Europe, the IMLC International Le Mans Cup Challenge, which used the same sort of setup.
Gotcha.
Notice the fueling here is blocked off.
Okay.
So depending on where we're racing, we could have the fueling on this side of the car or on the opposite side of the car. And if you look through the windows, you'll see the roll cage back there, as well as ductwork for cooling the transmission cooler that's at the rear of the car. There's a lot of airflow in and around and through this car.
Take a look at the wing, maybe a little bit.
Yeah. So the wing right now is set. It was set actually as it was for Petit Le Mans.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not a super high downforce race, and in total the car has about 2,000 pounds of downforce.
Oh, wow.
So quite a bit.
Yeah.
If you're used to a street car and you go around a fast corner in the street car, you notice that you're approaching the limits pretty high. The limits on something like this are so much higher. It blows you away how much it sticks.
Gotcha.
And as a race driver, learning to use downforce, there is this leap of faith that you have to have that is going to hold. Yeah. And the G-forces that you end up with are incredibly high.
This is really cool.
This car is part of the BMW USA Classic collection, and we put a passenger seat in it now so we can give rides for people. We do charity events at various places around the country. We demonstrate it usually at BMW O Fest and other places, and this is always a fan favorite. Yeah, this is always a fan favorite.
So really cool, Tom. Thank you. What are we going to see next?
I think next we'll have a look at the Z4. I think this is a car after this car, so a little bit more modern, but not quite as much of a spaceship as this one is.
Okay, cool. So guys, we'll be back in a few seconds with a new live video from Daytona. Stay tuned.